Good morning, DFC, and welcome back to another lesson in grade 11 entrepreneurship. Today, we're going to be looking at a concept about fixed and startup costs. So if you never heard about them before, that's fine. That's what we're here to learn about today. In fact, we're going to learn how to calculate fixed and startup costs for our venture ideas to see if they are likely to succeed. And in business, you want to minimize or lessen your costs in order to maximize profit. So we want to keep these types of costs low as we can. The lower, the better. The lower a business keeps these costs, the more profitable it will be. And the more profitable a business is, the more successful it's going to be. First things first, please watch this video here. And we have our news of the day story here. A quick video just about another Aboriginal entrepreneur. Now our textbook reading, which can be found here, if you click on that. There are three terms that I really want you guys to pay attention to. Fixed costs, net profit, and startup costs. Depreciation and interest, they're pretty straightforward. But we looked at variable costs the other day. A fixed cost is a cost that does not change. So no matter how much you make or how little you make of something, how many cakes you bake, these costs do not change. And some example of monthly fixed costs are right here. Now, startup costs, these are things you need to buy before you can even start making money. So if your job is painting houses, you're going to need paint brushes, paint trays, rollers, tarps, paint itself. Actually, paint, that is a variable cost. But those are all examples of startup costs. You got to buy those before you can even start running your business. Now, depending on your business idea, you'll have different startup costs. For example, a babysitting business. There are no startup costs that I can think of. Maybe some toys and games for the kids that you can bring over, but usually kids have their own toys and games. But aside from that, I can't think of any other startup costs. Or a pet walking business. At most, the things you'll need are, say, treats, a leash, or leashes, depending on how many dogs you're walking at once, and maybe some plastic bags to pick up dog poop. That's it. Now, a restaurant. If you're going a full-blown restaurant, I don't recommend that for this course. It's too complicated. You need a building. You need appliances, you need your inventory in terms of food. So starting a restaurant, that is all very expensive. It could be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't recommend that for this course. Remember, your business idea should be simple enough that it's around $500 in startup costs. If it's much less, that's even better. That just means less money for you to spend and more profit for you to earn. Simple, right? Startup costs are exactly what the name says. Business costs needed to start up your business. I just gotta get a drink here. There we go. So today's short answer questions are a little different because it's almost like a little bit of math involved. And don't worry, I know every student who comes in here isn't really too excited about having another math course, but this is like grade 4 or 5 math. There's nothing beyond addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. First thing though, I'd like you to list what equipment would be needed to start up, say, a lawn mowing business, or being a DJ. So if you want to do those business ideas, what types of equipment will you need? In other words, what are your startup costs? Now, the three important terms that I specified for you, I'd like you to write their definition in the space here. All right, here's where we get into the math. We have a business idea, and his name is Logan, and he sells art created by young artists in his community. And very important, he sells each piece for $50. However, that is his selling price. That is not his profit. In order to find out profit, we need to figure out his costs. So even if he sells a piece of art for $50, $50 is not his profit. He has two types of costs, his variable costs and his fixed costs. These costs do not change depending on how much art he sells. These costs do change. The more art he sells, the more he's going to spend in his variable costs. All right, pretty straightforward so far. What are Logan's total fixed costs per month? Simply add these numbers up. Now use this chart to calculate his total variable cost per unit. So how much is he spending of his own money per unit of art? So how much does he spend on the art itself? $20. Packaging is another $1. So it therefore costs him $21 to buy that art and package it for his customers. Now we want to calculate gross profit. So this is profit before fixed costs are calculated. So gross profit is good, but it's not the final number or final amount of profit. That is your net profit, which is why I wanted you to define it here. So net profit is how much money you've made after all costs have been taken care of and accounted for. But let's find out about gross profit first. So selling price per unit, remember he sells his art for $50 and his total variable cost per unit is 21. We'll just do some simple math and that gets us to he makes $29 in gross profit per piece of art. So this is, even though it's not net profit, it is still an important number to know. Now on average, Logan sells 5 pieces of art per day. What is his gross profit per day? Well, he earns that per unit and he sells 5 artworks a day. So tell me what 29 times 5 is. You don't have to do this in your head. I don't mind if you use a calculator. I'm not going to tell. If you use a calculator and get this answer wrong, though, then I'll be able to tell. Now, Logan works 5 days a week. What is his gross profit per week? So you take this amount. So answer from 4D and multiply that by 5. Now, if we assume that there are 4 weeks in a month, what is Logan's gross profit per month? So we take 4E and we multiply that by 4 weeks in a month. And we need to know this number. So to find out his net profit, we also have to take into consideration his fixed costs. So figure out what his gross profit is from 4F right here. and subtract his total monthly fixed costs. And fixed costs are all listed here. So this answer should be 520. So take monthly gross profit, subtract monthly fixed costs, and that will get you his monthly net profit. And net profit, that is the amount of profit he earns after all costs have been taken into consideration. They've been subtracted out, they've been calculated, and net profit, that is what you want. That is the money Logan will earn. So now Logan works 25 hours per week, which amounts to 100 hours per month, and he uses net profit of $23.80 to pay himself an hourly wage of $23.80. What are 3 ways he could increase the amount he earns per hour? Selling more art will not increase his monthly or his hourly wage. In order to do that, we need to look at these costs. We need to lower his costs. So he could simply buy cheaper art or pay less for it, maybe $18, $19. He'd have to negotiate with the artist about that. He'd have to buy cheaper packaging, maybe at 50 cents a piece rather than $1. Perhaps he wouldn't need insurance. He could eliminate that cost, make it 0 instead of 20. He could lower his depreciation, so he's putting less money away for a new computer. He could make his own advertising flyers so turn that into 0 instead of 30. So if he lowers his variable costs and he lowers his fixed costs, he could increase his net profit and therefore his hourly wage. But there's a third way. What if he jacked up the price? I shouldn't say jack up. I mean, what if he increased the price? So if he sells for 60 instead of 50, he would increase his hourly wage because he'd be increasing his gross and net profit overall. So lower variable costs, lower fixed costs, increase selling price. Those are 3 ways he can increase the amount of money he earns. And based on, this chart, he's earning quite a bit of money per hour, $23.80 per hour, which is far above the monthly minimum or the hourly minimum wage, which is $14.25. So he's earning almost $10 over minimum wage. And that's the benefit of working for yourself. So question number 4 is all about, so that question is all about Logan. Now let's go on to the next question. For your business idea, try to think up as many startup costs as you can. Ideally, your business idea should have around $500 in startup costs. However, it's fine if you have fewer startup costs. Feel free to add or delete rows as needed. And to add rows or delete them, you just click on the chart, right click, and then either insert row or delete row, whatever you want to do. So take snow shoveling as my business idea. I need a shovel, ice melter, salt, and maybe winter jacket. And let's see, boots. Should specify snow shovel. I'm going to go on Canadian Tire, and just estimate or take an estimate of what these costs are. No, I do not want to buy Baby Yoda yet. Snow shovel. All right, I can buy a pretty good shovel for, say, 35 bucks. We'll go back. I'll put $35 there. Let's see, ice melter. I can get 20 kilograms of it for $22. Winter jacket. I want to buy a good one. Let's see, a parka. Hey, 90 bucks. What a good deal. Winter boots. For $58. Remember, these are just estimated costs. I'm not factoring in tax here. But add them all up, 35 plus 22 plus 90 plus 58, $205. Added with tax is $231. I'm not going to put the tax. These are just estimated costs. But I just want to show you that for a simple business idea, your startup costs should be minimal. It's well under $500, which is what I want. And you'll need these numbers for your business plan. Your business plan is a final project. And in your final project, one part of it will be, show me what startup costs you have. Show me that this business is affordable if you have, say, $500 or less. So for snow shoveling business, I'm also going to put in here, show me where you can get your startup costs, so your supplier. So not only show me the cost, but also tell me where you can get it. Luckily, Canadian Tire is a great place. I can get all my supplies there. Okay, next. Here are just some ways where entrepreneurs can get money for their business to help pay for their startup costs. Savings, loans, investments. Now, for your simple business idea, you're probably able to get money through working for part-time or full-time jobs. So hopefully you'll be able to pay for your startup costs, if you were to start up your business by just using savings alone. So you can put in savings from, say, part-time or full-time job. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Lastly, I'd like you to imagine that you're starting up your business. I would like you to estimate your monthly fixed costs. So how much would you pay in rent, utilities? That implies that you have a building. If a cost does not apply to you or your business idea, leave it blank. Don't worry about it. Remember, we want to minimize costs. So the fewer costs we have, the better. Let's take my snow shoveling business idea. All right, so rent, my business requires no building, so that'd be $0. Utilities, that's your bills, $0 because there's no building. Sales and advertising, maybe I spend $20 a month. Insurance, I don't need insurance. Interest, I have no loans. Wages are if you're paying people. Well, this is a one-man business, so I don't need to pay people. Service costs, I'm not having anything repaired or delivered or cleaned, 0. Now depreciation, eventually through use, my snow shovel is going to break, my boots get worn out, or my jacket needs replacing. So I may say $20 I'll set aside to buy a new shovel, new ice melter, or buy new winter clothes. And other costs, these are just any unexpected costs that may come up. Let's say $10. So my monthly fixed costs would be 10 plus 20 plus 20 equals 50. So I'm expecting every month to spend about $50 on these fixed costs. So and remember, just estimate. And if a cost does not apply to you, if you don't know the exact cost, just estimate. And if cost doesn't apply to you, leave it as 0 or skip it. But just show me how much fixed costs your business would have per month. Okay, it's a little tricky. I know it's probably unfamiliar to you as well. But if you have any questions, I'll be online. And just make sure you fill out the self-assessment. So if you've done these 4 things, you know what these terms mean. You calculated Logan's net profit per month. You listed possible startup costs for your venture. And you calculated your monthly estimated fixed costs. Give yourself a 4 out of 4. And I will help you however I can, walk you through it if you meet me online. Remember, I'll be online until 12:20 Eastern Standard Time. All right, folks, that concludes today's lesson on fixed and startup costs, and I hope to see you online. Have a great day. Bye.